Hey, Math 095, this is Professor Sue, and I am going to go over all the answers part of the answers in this video for your upcoming test, Exam 2 review problems. So the first one is I'm going to solve an absolute value problem, which I have right here. I have the absolute value of 7x plus 2 minus 10 equals 20. And I want to solve that. So I need to get that absolute value by itself. So I'm going to add 10 to each side. And after I do that, I've got the absolute value equal to 30. So remember, we're going to break that up into two equations, one equaling a positive 30 and one equaling a negative 30. And then we're just going to solve both sides. On the left side, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides and get 7x equals 28. We're going to divide both sides by 7. And we're going to get our first answer, which is x equals 4. On the right side, I've got 7x plus 2 equals negative 30. I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I'm going to get 7x equals negative 32. I need to get the x alone, so I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So answer number 2 is x equals negative 32 over 7. So I've got two answers. X can be equal to 4 or x can be equal to negative 32 over 7. So question number 2, we want to find the point of intersection, or where the two lines meet up, using the graphing method. So I've got my first line, 4x plus y equals 8. And my second line, y equals negative 2x plus 2. Now, this line, as you can see, is already in slope-intercept form. It's got the y on the left-hand side. But for the first line, 4x plus y equals 8, I don't have it in that form. So I am going to subtract 4x from both sides. And that's going to give me y equals negative 4x plus 8. Now remember, I want to make two tables, and I'm saying I want at least 3 points per line. So if you want to put those in your graphing calculators and bring up 3 points on each line, I put the first one in my calculator, and I brought up 0, 8, 1, 4, and 2, 0. And again, you can pick any points you want, any 3 points you want. Okay, sorry about that. For number 2, line number 2, y equals negative 2x plus 2. It did the same thing. I put it in my calculator under y1 and y2, and I brought up 0, 2, 1, 0, and 2, negative 2. So I've got my 3 points for each. Now I don't have graph paper, so my graph's going to kind of be a little bit shabby. I'm going to graph both lines, and here is where they meet up. This is my point of intersection. And remember to circle that on your graph on that part of the test. So 3, negative 4 is the answer. So moving on to page 2. Number 3, I have a solve the systems. I've got y equals negative 3x plus 5 and 4x plus 2y equals 6. So since I have the variable y equal to negative 3x plus 5, I've got y on one side. I'm going to use substitution. So I'm going to plug in negative 3x plus 5 into the second equation for y. So I'm going to plug it in there next to the 2. So I'm plugging it into the second equation. So I now have 4x plus 2 times my negative 3x plus 5 equals 6. I'm going to distribute that 2, and I'm going to get 4x minus 6x plus 10 equals 6. I'm going to combine like terms, and I'm going to get negative 2x plus 10 equals 6. I want to solve that. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. And I'm going to get negative 2x equals negative 4. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2, which this comes out to be 2. So x equals 2. But you know, for systems, we need two answers, an x answer and a y answer. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in 2 for x. And when I do that, I get y equals negative 1. And you can plug in 2 for x in either the first equation or the second equation. It does not matter. You will get y equals negative 1 either way. So my final answer is 2, negative 1. Okay, for 4, I'm solving another systems. I'm solving 5x minus 4y equals 5 and negative 10x. I'm solving these two. Negative 10x plus 8y equals negative 10. Now, for this one, I'm going to use the addition method. And I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2. And I'm going to distribute, and I'm going to get 10x minus 8y equals 10. And I'm going to put it under my second equation here, and I'm going to add down. When I do that, everything cancels out, and I get 0 equals 0. When both sides are equal, it means that I have infinitely many solutions. And make sure you do write that down on your test. Make sure you write down infinitely many solutions or all real numbers. Either one I would take. Now 5 through 7 are multiple choice. So 5, if two lines are parallel, then the systems of equations will have B, no solution, because they are two lines that never meet. 6, if the two lines are the same, then the system of equations will have infinitely many solutions. It's just like one line laying on top of another line. They meet everywhere. So 6 is C. 7, they want you to take the interval negative 13 is less than x is less than or equal to 7 and write it in interval notation. Well, that's answer D. I need to write it with a parentheses and a bracket. So that's answer D. I'm moving on to page 3. And I have a story problem, a systems of equations story problem. And first thing I want to do is I'm talking about finding the cost of a large soda and the cost of a hamburger. So I'm going to let x equal the cost of a large soda, and I'm going to let y equal the cost of a hamburger. And then if you read over the first sentence in the problem, we're going to translate that into math. And I've got 2 large sodas and 3 hamburgers costing $9.15. So if x is the cost of a large soda and y is the cost of a hamburger, I'm going to say 2x plus 3y equals $9.15. If you read the second sentence, it says the cost of 5 large sodas and 1 hamburger is $11.50. So I'm going to do the same thing and translate that into math. And I'm going to write that as 5x plus 1y equals $11.50. And I'm going to line them up horizontally, one underneath the other. And I am going to use the addition method. You don't have to. You can do substitution if that's easier for you. I am going to take the first equation and multiply it by -3, because then my y's will drop out. So I'm going to distribute this -3, and I'm going to get -15x minus 3y equals negative 34.50. Just distributing that. And then I'm going to take the 2x plus 3y equals $9.15 and bring that down and place it underneath. So here are the two equations that I am looking at. Now I'm going to add down. And what happens? Well, the negative 3y and the positive 3y cancel out. And I'm left with negative 13x equals negative 25.35. To get x alone, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 13. And when I do that, I get x equals $1.95. That's the cost of a soda. Go back and plug in. You can plug into any of the equations. Plug in your $1.95 for x. Solve it. And you'll get your y, which is $1.75 for the cost of a hamburger. So I'm moving on to number 9. I want to solve this absolute value inequality, and then I want to graph it on a number line. So remember, when it's an absolute value with a less than, I am going to set it up. A negative 1 is less than or equal to 2x minus 3 over 5 is less than or equal to 1. So remember, I make it a compound inequality with a negative 1 on the left side and a 1 on the right side. And I take my absolute value out and put that in the middle. Now, I don't like this 5 sitting down here. I'm going to get rid of it. So I'm going to multiply through. I'm going to distribute, multiply through everything by 5, because 5 is in the denominator. So I'm going to distribute that 5. When I do that here, my 5s are going to cancel out. And now I'm going to solve. I'm going to add 3 to 3 places. Left side, middle, right side. When I do that, my 3's cancel out and I'm left with 2x. 5 and 3 is 8 on the right. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2 on the left. I want to get x by itself, so I'm going into the middle and dividing all 3 pieces by 2. So I get negative 1 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 4. So that's the algebraic solution. But I'm also asking for my solution on a number line. So this is a compound inequality with the less than or equal to. So since I have equal to, I'm going to use my brackets. So I'm going to put a negative 1 and a 4. brackets on each, and I'm going to shade the middle. So this is what my graph looks like. So two answers, the algebra part and the graph. So number 10, the last one on number 3, another absolute value inequality. I want to solve it and write my answer in interval notation. So here is my problem. It's 3 times the absolute value of y plus 3 minus 6 is greater than 6. So I want to get that absolute value alone on one side on the left. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. And I'm going to get 3 times the absolute value of y plus 3 is greater than 12. Because 6 and 6 is 12. I still have this 3 over here. I need to get rid of that. So in order to get rid of that, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So I'm going to divide the right and the left by 3. And so now I have, my 3's are going to cancel out, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I have my absolute value by itself. That's what I want. So the absolute value of y plus 3 is greater than 4. Now, I don't know if you remember or not, but when we have an absolute value and an inequality of greater than, we set up 2 inequalities. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it the same. It's going to come out of the absolute value, and it's going to be y plus 3 is greater than 4. That's my first one. Or I'm going to do y plus 3 is less than negative 4. So this is changing from greater than to less than, and from 4 to negative 4. And then I'm just going to solve my left and my right hand sides. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides, and I'm going to get y is greater than 1, or to solve the other side, I'm also going to subtract 3 from both sides, and I'm going to get y is less than negative 7. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to finish up 10 on the next video. So I will see you there.